Here's my audience. Audience. Wave. Okay. Can you see this?
Somewhat.
Not really.
It's
No.
too bright.
Well, can you stand closer?
I mean, I have you and the computer and the screen.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's just do this then. Okay. It is a basic fact that we as people fall into two categories, those that see the glass half empty and those that see the glass half full. This popular saying has to do with people and our attitudes and their attitudes. Attitudes make up a big part of everyone's life. In fact, Winston Churchill says that an attitude is a little thing that can make a really big difference. This could not be more than true. But so with that being said, what is an attitude? An attitude is a lot more complex than you would think. It has its own process. This process is called the anatomy of an attitude. It starts off with a situation, any situation, an event that occurs in your life, and this starts a chain reaction that goes to how you perceive the situation, which goes on to the mindset that it will give you, which then goes to, it will give you an emotion, and we as human beings, we naturally act on an emotion, so that's the next process, is action. And with that, when you take an action, it starts off a new situation. So it's a continuous cycle. So in order to understand the anatomy of an attitude and the process it does, we'll just come up with a situation. Situation. Any situation, we'll just say for the purpose of this presentation, we'll say a car accident happens. Set the scene, there's a car wreck involving a mother and her young child in one vehicle and a man in a truck. There's witnesses everywhere. There's witnesses across the intersection. There's witnesses that are at the gas station on the service road pumping gas. There's people behind the crash that happened. So this is the situation. What happens after that is the perception of the situation. This is through our senses, our five senses: see, hear, touch, taste, smell. There's people that witness something that they weren't paying attention, they were pumping gas, but they look up because they can hear the crash happening and occurring. Whereas the people that were behind the crash, they see it first. So this is their perception. There's going to be people that can smell the smell of gasoline if the wreck was that bad or anything like that. So the perception is all about your five senses. So once you do your perception, you go straight into your mindset. Dr. Charles Hamal says what our brains perceive to be real and what is truly real is not always the same. So what this means, to go to your mindset, this has to do with your socioeconomic status, your race, your culture, your background, how you grew up. So if I notice, say, that the woman that got in a wreck, and I had it drilled in my head since a little kid or something like that, that women drivers are like the worst drivers, so it must have been her fault. She must have been on the phone texting. It was just her fault. Or say the guy that was at the gasoline or the gas station pumping his gas, he's been drilled into his head his whole entire life that men are reckless drivers. They put pedal to the metal. They don't pay attention. They don't care who's in their way. They're just trying to get from point A to point B. So he's going to have a mindset that it was obviously the man's fault. So this will go from our mindset, we'll go to an emotion. If I was the person to say that obviously it was the woman's fault because women drivers are the worst drivers, my emotion would be angry, annoyed. She must have been texting, so that's annoying. She's not caring about her young child, so that's angry. And then I'll have a little bit of sympathy. My emotion towards the man, I'll have sympathy towards him that was involved in the wreck because, he was just minding his own business. And this is, whenever a wreck is involved, normally you have cops come to the scene. And so if they were asking for witnesses, my emotion, this is how I would come across to a policeman. So after your emotion, you act on your emotions. All human beings do it. Even if you do not make an action or something, if you decide not to do anything about it, you're still that's still considered taking an action. So with me being angry, I'm of course going to go report this immediately when the cop comes over there, and I'm going to tell him, yes, it was her. She was on her phone. This is what she was doing. She was not paying attention. I'm very angry. And then, so it was my idea to report it, whereas, you know, you could have had a witness that was just like, it was just a little fender bender and no need to even get involved. That's an action. So with that, after you have acted, it turns right back into a situation. So where we see this is a situation goes to your perception of the situation, goes to a mindset, then that creates your emotion. You act on it, and then when you act on it, or if you don't act on it, that's still an action. It's considered a situation. So what does this say about your attitude? This says that you can actually control your attitude. If you think about it, if you can just erase of what you've had drilled into your head your whole entire life, from your family, from your culture, from your race, or anything like that, if you can just completely remove that from your mind and just make your own perception, make your own mindset, and anything like this, you are actually able to control your emotions. Motivational speaker Brian Tracy says you cannot control what happens to you, but you can control your attitude toward what happens. So what this means is that I can go get in a wreck right now, and that was out of my control. But my attitude towards it, I can actually change that. I can change my anger, I can change my emotions, I can do that. I'm in control of my attitude. The end.